before they seems very look like look like. So it takes time to separate the sheep to go, but they do every evening. And sheep was a valuable cattle than goats, of course. In the image of the Hebrew Testament, sheep represents the people of God, and the goats represent as the lost. There is no middle ground between the blessed and Christ, the saved and the lost. After the separation into the two camps, sheep people and goat people, I am surprised by their surprises. The people on the right side, the sheep people, they are surprised by the words of blessing. They did not know how they welcomed the king in their life. They said, Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry and feed you, thirsty and give you a drink? And when did we ever see you sick or in prison and come to you? It seems they didn't have any memory of when and how they did it. They are surprised by the king's welcome because they do not remember whom they reached out. They helped others without keeping track of who they were and how much they did it. The king said, I'm telling the solemn truth. Whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, that was me. You did it to me. Then the goat people, the left side of people, were surprised too. They were surprised by the king's word of the judgment. Then those goats are going to say, Master, Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or homeless or shivering or sick or in prison and didn't help? Aha! They were surprised because they knew when and how they reached out. They were confident about that to the people look like the king or king-related people. They remembered well. They have appointment book to show when and how they reached out for the appropriate people. They had a list and they kept track of all they did according to their ideas. They were careful, selective about who were the people, Jesus people, king people. They sorted out the people around them and they said to the king, when we did not help you, king, they are so sure. I did it. My appointment book says. I remember. But they did not see someone who was being overlooked and ignored. King responded them, I'm telling you the solemn truth. Whenever you fail to do one of these things to someone who was being overlooked and ignored, that was me. You failed to do it to me. This parable is about the coming of kingdom. Then in the time of the Gospel of Matthew was written, about 60 AD, the people had the concern, how and on what basis is the person to be judged on the final day of reckoning? Jesus' response was clear already in this passage, but here in this passage in Matthew, Jesus was concerned with the behavior of his disciples already in the church community at that time, while they await the coming of the kingdom. There was already a line to separate between the significant ones and the insignificant ones in the church community. Already, someone is important than others. Jesus was telling kingdom judgment would be upside down. The both groups, the sheep group and the goats group, were surprised by the king's and Jesus' words. Surprises from each side tells what is the point here. They both did the religious people required to do. Okay, the actions item, that's a Hebrew requirement to do the good job, good work. Okay? They don't. And they both did what the religious people required to do. Both sides of people did help someone who was hungry and feed them, and was thirsty and give them drink, and visit them sick or in prison. Both groups did good deeds, but those goats will be headed to their eternal doom, but the sheep to their eternal reward. What a judgment. Then what is the difference between them? Okay, I want you to think, what's the real difference between them? That is seen in their surprises. The sheep people were surprised and said, when did we do it for you? Okay, point is, they don't remember when they did it. They did not calculate their actions and had no record for the action. The king responded, whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, that's me. You did it to me. They did the simple action of help without calculating how the action would be valued by others. But the God's people were surprised because they were sure they did the action, good deeds for who? Who was worthy? King-related people, they think, they are in their idea. Important people, worthy people. God people separated others around them who was worthy for their actions and who was not. What they did was they attempted to define God's people and God Himself in their mind. They had their idea for who was indispensable of their actions, who was worthy for their care. Their judgments were judged harshly by the king. Because those people judged in their mind the others, the judgment, God judged him. God judged them. Who is indispensable? Worthy people in the church. Is there any worthy people in the church? Once in California, my colleague said to me, Ken, you know pastors are dispensable in the church. Do something, big thing, so that you impress them, and then they will keep you. What? What? Who going to judge us? People? Or, yes, God. God is the one. Not the church people, not anyone else. It's God. Remember that. No one is indispensable worker of God for a church in a particular time. And in a way, everyone